Hello everyone, welcome to PlayCanvas Office Hours, where we work through problems posted by the community. I'm Stephen Yao, otherwise known as Yas on the forums, and today we're looking at an issue by, I don't know how to pronounce that one, Burnhill, on a rendering issue, GLB plus info hotspot equals weird clipping. So, from what I saw earlier in the video, they have the hotspot taken from one of the tutorials, and that fades in and out depending on the angle of the object you're looking at, or where the hotspot is. And it seems to work fine with their primitive, with a standard primitive box, which is great. But when they move onto their GRB asset, they load dynamically. You can see here that it clips, or what they call clipping, with the box at the same angle that was working fine with the primitive. And so, looking at this, it looks like a kind of rendering issue, and I thought this would be a good video to showcase how to debug how there's a different ways you can debug rendering issues with this, and also potentially how to fix them in this particular case. So let's open the project and let's fork it. 3D model viewer. F8. Go to the editor. Okay, so first of all, like with anything, let's try and reproduce the issue. So if I remember correctly, they got a 3D model stand-in, which is the primitive box. Oops, that is not correct. They got a, let me disable the GLB one. So they've got a primitive box, which looks correct, as we can see here. So we fade in, fade out, all rendering correctly. But if we swap it to the GLB, which is they're using a bit of code to load a GLB externally and put it into the scene, we can see here we can reproduce the clipping issue. So that's great. My first reaction to it is something to probably do with transparency and render order. That's usually my first kind of, I wouldn't say response, but usually the first thing I would check. And we can easily check that using a tool by Babylon called what's it called? Spectre.js. So Spectre.js is a tool. It's a tool that they've created as for the browser. So it's a browser plugin, and it allows you to step through pretty much all the render calls of the current scene. So let's do it with this. Let's enable it. I've got it already installed here. Refresh the scene, and let's recreate the issue. So this is fine, and this is where it clips. And we click here, and we go to take a capture of the current frame. Give it a while, and now we can go through all the draw calls, which are great. So let's scroll down. Okay, see here. Keep going. These are shadows, lights. Okay, so we've got the camera fill color. So this fills in the background with a clear color, and we can see it's rendering. It seems to be rendering each side independently, which is interesting. So we get as far as here. It renders this, then renders a hotspot, and then I've moved my caster thing out of the way. It renders the side after that. So this makes me wonder if these quads with the image of them are being rendered on the transparent layer instead of the opaque layer. I don't know why, but if they've got materials that have opacity in them for whatever reason, then they're going to render on the transparent layers, and therefore what would happen is, if that order is incorrect, because it renders it tries to render transparent meshes back to front, so it renders everything behind first and then tries to render it the object closer to it. The problem is it's very difficult because different meshes can be different sizes, and depending on their orientation, it's difficult to tell whether one object is closer than the other. So we've got a case here where I believe it thinks that the side is closer to the camera than the hotspot because the front edge is closer towards the camera, or some part of the bounding box for that mesh is closer to the camera. So to prove this, what I'm going to go is go back to the editor, and let's move the keycaster back to where it was before, which is about here. And we are going to go into the layers and disable the world transparent. And what that should do is, there we go. So this proves that those images on the side are being rendered on the transparent layer. So this is a rendering order issue of meshes on the same layer. So that's great. So let's close that down, so what we're going to do to fix this is that because we know the hotspot is generally going to be always going to be rendered, should be rendered last because it should be the thing that's closest to us compared to the rest of the box. What we can do is put the hotspot on a transparent layer that's higher than what the box is being rendered on. So we can do this easily using the layers and the camera. So go to, let me put a name here. So we call this hotspots. We add layer. Make sure that the transparent sort is the same as the world, which is back to front. Fine. We're going to add the sublayer of transparent and add sublayer of opaque. And we're going to put them after the world. So we've got opaque hotspots after world and transparent hotspots after world. Transparent. And what we're going to go back to the object that represents, so the rendering for the hotspot, which is this. Change that from world to hotspots. And make sure the camera is going to render this as well. So go to camera. Ensure that it's rendering the hotspots layer 2. Awesome. So what should happen now is the world transparent meshes get rendered first, and then the hotspot will be rendered after that, which means that the hotspot would always be rendered after the transparent meshes and should therefore not clip. And there we go. Now it's no longer clipping, I use that in inverted commas, clipping with the box. And to prove this, we can go back to Spectre, do a capture, and wait for it. Sometimes it takes a little while depending on how complex the scene is. We just scroll all the way down. We can see here, so renders the opaque meshes first on the world opaque layer. So this is the thing. Then renders the world transparent, which is all the sides of the box. And then finally, renders hotspot last, which is awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to create a checkpoint in the editor, give this back to the poster, and also post a video. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.